Okie dokie. It is. I'm not gonna lie. I have legitimately forgotten what episode it is. I think it's the 15th. You know what? We're not gonna leave it up to chance. I'm pretty sure it's the 15th. If it's not the 15th, then it might be the 14th. If it's not the 14th, then I really don't know. Let's see. We're starting off strong today. Starting off strong on the fun. It's the 16th. What did I say? I don't even know. It's the 16th episode of the Running My Mouth podcast. I am your apparently very confused host, Aaron, and allow me to run my mouth for a little bit. So, it is... Oh, wait, hold on. Because it's that time of year. Well, yeah, no, it's that time of year. I totally forgot. Well, I didn't forget, because it's been sitting here this whole time. But it is that time of the year. I have this very ill-fitting Santa hat that I shall wear for... It doesn't even fit on my head very well. Hold on. I'm trying to make it... I don't know how I can... I need to at least have one ear for my headphones. Oh, goodness. This hat is legitimately too small for my ginormous noggin. Okay. All right. Okay. It's Christmas time. So I am recording this, what's today? It's the 18th, I think. No, it's the 17th. I'm recording this on the 17th, but it'll come out on the 20th, which is before Christmas. So the hat is appropriate. It is that time of the year again. Time to wait for the big fat white man to come down your chimney. If you don't have a chimney, that's actually a really good question, because in all the houses that I've lived in, we've had at least one fireplace. No, all the houses that I've lived in have had... No, one house that I lived in had two fireplaces. Ooh, wait, no it didn't. I can't remember. At least one fireplace, though, in all the places that I've lived in. And so, there's really no question about where Santa Claus was going to come, because we have a fireplace. So obviously that's where he's going to come down. But like, if you don't have a fireplace, like in my apartment now, I don't have a fireplace. I'm also not a child, and no children live here, so I'm not really concerned about that. But if you don't have a fireplace, does he just come through the window? Does he come through the air vents? Inquiring minds would like to know, and those inquiring minds are me. Call in, we're standing by. If you don't have a fireplace, where does Santa come? I really need to know. Anyways, it is the last Running My Mouth podcast episode of the year, which is not something that I considered. And again, it's afternoon. The sun is setting. It's going to be bright. So honestly, I'm not even going to bother with trying to get up and change the exposure. I'm just going to fix it in post, like the good post-production person that I am. But just as I'm sitting down, it's like getting really intense. But anyways, what was I saying? It's the final episode of the year for the Running My Mouth podcast, which is not something that I realized until, I sat down to record this. So I don't really have any big, end of the year episode plans or anything like that, because, again, I literally just realized this would be the last episode of the year. I'm not taking time off or anything like that. I will be traveling to my home, back home for Christmas, but I'll be back before New Year's, because we don't get New Year's off, or at least I don't think we do. But I would be surprised if we did. So, yeah. No breaks here. We're taking no breaks. We're staying on schedule. But gosh, it is... Okay, maybe I lied about not getting up and changing the exposure, because this is legitimately distracting. I thought it was going to be fine, because, I was waiting. I was waiting for the sun to, go down. And I was like, okay, fine. I can finally start to record the episode. I didn't want to wait until nighttime. But it looks like this is going to be a problem again, so I guess I'm just coming at you directly from heaven. I'm dead. R.I.P. me. I'm not, but, it kind of looks like it. Heaven has really good lighting. It's a little overpowering sometimes, but, we make it work up here in the sky, I guess. Let me not joke about that. Anyways, this time last year, I was languishing. Well, actually, not really this time last year, but maybe, actually. Because it's the 17th today. But this time last year, I was languishing because at my absolutely garbage job that I had. It had gotten to the point where we had lost. Okay, I can't deal with this. I'm gonna have to hold on. I'm gonna have to. This is too much. Okay, I don't think I can do anything about the lighting aside from put it on auto or I don't know, put a big freaking sheet over this window. But it's just gonna be looking kind of wacky, because I'm actually doing things during the daytime this time around. Wow, how wild and crazy is that? Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, right. This time last year, my garbage job that I worked for far too long, a year and 6 months, too many. I was in a field picking collard greens for some reason. Well, it wasn't for some reasons, because they needed to be picked. And the people who would have been doing that quit for reasons. And I feel like now I feel a bit more vindicated because when I was telling people about it, really just my parents about it last year, they kind of didn't think it was that big of a deal, which is so crazy to me. But now, recently, as I've been telling people about it, they have been reacting appropriately, which is shock and surprise and confusion as to why I would have been made to do that when that's not my job. So, it is what it is, I guess. But I'm gonna stay mad about it until I'm no longer mad about it because like that's so wild and crazy. Like we've gone through a whole I guess mini little labor revolution now, and all of the bosses are complaining that nobody wants to work. Why can't I find someone to work for me? When it's like if you hire somebody, okay, you hire somebody to be a videographer and that is what they're expecting to do. And then one day, 5 days before Christmas, you tell them, "Hey, I need you to come pick produce on my farm." Why would you be surprised when that person then suddenly finds a better place to work and leaves? Where's the surprise in that, It's like there is no shortage of workers out there, okay? There are, however, a shortage of people willing to put up with just mistreatment. That's what there's a shortage of. People willing to put up with mistreatment for barely any money. That's what there is a shortage of, right? And I don't care if you are a nonprofit and are allegedly helping the community. Like, I am part of that community that you are allegedly helping. I still deserve to be treated normally, not made to work your farm that I wasn't hired to do? It'd be one thing if it was like, I don't know, I made a whole video on this, like literally last year, so I don't know why, well, not last year, maybe earlier this year. Yeah, so I don't know why I am belaboring this point, probably because I am, in fact, still mad about it, but it'd be one thing if they hired me, I don't know, to teach one subject. Let's say they hired me to teach English to a bunch of big-headed kids. It'd be one thing if they hired me to teach English and all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, I need you to teach literature or language arts." Like, that is still somewhat within my purview, hypothetically. Or it'd be one thing if they hired me, for videography and they're like, "Hey, we need you to do a little bit of photography," which is something that I did do for them, which again, it was still in my purview, so it was like fine. Um, I also managed their social media for them, which, not 100% within my purview, but I did it to the best of my abilities. Probably not as effectively as it could have been done by someone who actually knows how to do that kind of thing. But, it's still sort of related, but also not really. It would be one thing, if they hired me for videography and they got me to do a little bit of graphic design. I have the minimalist amount of experience with that, so like that would be one thing. But to go from videography to farmhand, that is a big leap. And I'm glad now that I am telling people this, like in my life, that they are reacting appropriately about it because it was genuinely wacky. And then, that was one thing, but then having to, oh man, I don't want to like get into it because it's really not that big of a deal anymore because I'm not there anymore. I will never be there anymore. So like I am trying to like not care anymore, but at the same time, that legitimately sucked. I feel like I have a right to be mad about it. So I'm being mad about it. But anyways, we're moving on. You know what? We're leaving that in 2023. We're gonna leave that in 2023. I'm leaving being mad about that in 2023. Will I actually stop being mad about it in 2023? Only time will tell. It's still 2023. We have what? Like a week and a half? 2 weeks to go? Something like that. So, only time will tell if that'll actually be like effective or whatever, but I'm gonna try my best. But another thing that I think we collectively need to leave in 2023. I'm talking to you now, you the viewer who potentially goes to see live music events, and maybe these live music events are held in small spaces. And maybe these live music events held in small spaces are really loud, but you, the person watching this, aren't doing anything to protect your hearing. And I'm saying this because, basically every concert or every show that I've been to, there's people there just like raw dogging that sound. And I've said it on the pod before. I don't get how people do it. I don't think I would ever be able to do it. It's physically painful. So like, I don't even know why you hypothetically would be wanting to endure something like that. That is literally physically painful. But we collectively, all of us, not me, because I've never been doing it, but collectively, all of us need to leave going and seeing live music, hearing unprotected in 2023. That's gotta die. I'm sorry. You can't do it anymore. Like, I do like how some, bands and artists will provide earplugs for their audience if they don't have them, which is great, but not everyone does it. Because, I don't know how much, like, one of those big tubs of foam earplugs cost. I can't imagine it would be that much, but also, any cost is still a cost. So having to incur that yourself as a traveling artist or maybe a smaller local artist might be a lot. So like, I can get why you might not do it, but I feel like as a viewer, as a listener, realistically, you'd want to keep being able to attend these events until your heart stops beating or until, I don't know, you'd find something else to do or something. So like, why? I don't get it. I really don't get it. Like, that is something I don't get. Unpopular opinion. Probably not that unpopular actually, but wear ear like protection when you go see a show or something. Like, it's not that hard, because yesterday I went to one locally here, and I'm not gonna lie, it was mad loud. Like, it was, and I like loudness. I like it when I can feel the music like in my chest. I like that feeling. But I would hazard a guess and say that most of the people, including the ones performing, okay, were there with just raw dogging the sound. And when I tell you that the venue that I was at is literally a house, it was literally a house, okay? And the place that all of us were standing in was probably, well, no, it was, no. It was probably about the size of my living room, because it was literally probably a living room before, because it's a house. It's a really small space, and we're just in there just like getting assaulted in the ears. Not me, because I had my earplugs, but other people getting assaulted in the ears, including the people who were performing. Just like, why? For what? It's really easy to like not do that. And like, I will evangelize for the kind of earplugs I have. I don't have my purse on me, and they're not over here, but before I went to like my first ever like metal concert back in, when was that? It must have been last year. I bought some Eargasm earplugs on Amazon.com, and they were close to $40. And I had seen them on a thread on the metalcore subreddit. I think I was talking about, I don't know, how to best protect your hearing at concerts, which is like a very important thing to do. And someone had recommended them. I was like, okay, I'll give them a try. A lot of people were also saying good things about them. And I have nothing, well, okay, that's not true. I do have one gripe. They do, I don't know if it's because maybe my ear canals are just like small or something, but after a while of wearing them, they do kind of hurt the inside of my ears. But I will say the discomfort I feel from wearing them in my ears for like, I don't know, 3 to 4 hours is far less than getting loud sounds just in my ears for 30 minutes, So the discomfort trade-off, like, I would much rather kind of have itchy ear canals than be deaf. That's what we're trading off here. So, you guys, you know what? I don't even know how much they cost. When I purchased them, they were about, I want to say they were about $38, but I'm about to look it up. You can buy them on Amazon. Let's see. And they are silicone and they have a little filter in there. And they're really good because they're not like the foam ones where they block out all sounds. So, like, if you're doing construction or something, you might want the foam ones because they block out all sounds. But these actually let some sounds in and it's great. So, Eargasm, I believe they're the high fidel. Nope, those are not it. Yes, they are. Eargasm high fidelity earplugs. Yeah, I bought them back in March 2022 for concerts, musicians, motorcycle noise, blah blah blah, all of that. I got the ones in the blue packaging, not the gold packaging, and they are about $39. Now there are different ones here. So there's a gold edition. I'm not sure what the difference is. And then there's like they have like When We Were Young branded Eargasm earplugs, Lollapalooza. I guess these are just different cases for them, but they come in like a little metal case. I guess you can get them in like different colors. I don't know if the different colors are like different levels of filtering or anything like that, but I got the blue ones, the basic blue ones. And they're $39. I believe they're $38 when I bought them. They're $39 right now as I'm recording this. And the other ones, they're a bit more expensive. I mean, all the like fancy colors are basically like $50, which is a bit much, especially if they don't, do anything different. But, $40, that might seem like a lot, but I bought them back in March of last year and I've been using them ever since and they've never let me down. And I would happily buy them again, even though they are kind of expensive. They're reusable. You do have to clean them, I'm not gonna lie. You gotta clean them. I mean, it's up to you what you do with your life, but I'm going to recommend that you clean them. Usually I just use like some rubbing alcohol and like a Q-tip and that gets the job done. I'm not sure how the filter reacts to being wet, so I don't know. I will say if you're in like some basement or something and it's like hot and there's like no ventilation and your ear canal gets a little sweaty, they do start to slip a little bit. But I've been, for some reason, all of the concerts that I went to last year, aside from maybe like one, were held in the hottest, most unair conditioned venues I've ever been to, and they have stayed in. They slip out a little bit, but all you got to do is push them back in, and you're fine. So, this is what another thing that we're leaving in 2023 is not protecting our hearing because just why? Why would you do that? I like music. It has been long since established on this podcast. I would like to listen to it for a really long time. And, I am, I guess, irresponsible in other ways, but my hearing, I take very seriously, apparently. More seriously than other people do, I guess. So, just please wear your protection. But anyways, like I said, I went to see some live music last night. The bands that I saw were The Remnants. Hold on, I have to look. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't 100% sure who I was going to see. I just kind of wanted to like get out of the house, so that's why I went. Let's see, The Remnants. It's not The Remnants, it's just Remnants and Clitter Critters, which is like a girl punk band. Which I love girl punk. I love girly punk. I love it so much. Both of them were local to Jackson, and then Spacer, who is a little two-piece, who I think is now more recently a three-piece chicken McNugget, from Memphis. And so they were all very good. I enjoyed them very much. Another thing that I did last night was I brought my little camera because I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna take some pictures." I'm in my photography era. I'm like, yes, but taking pictures in low light is like hard because nothing is ever in focus. That's just a skill issue for me. Like, I look through my pictures. I took a lot of them last night, and I'm not gonna lie, most of them didn't look good. So no one's going to see them, but I tried. I'm gonna try to learn how to take low light pictures better. The obvious answer, if you need more light in frame is to add more light, but alas, I was in a living room that had a little red LED and a little green LED and like a strip of Christmas lights in the back. And that's not a lot to work off of. You need a little bit more light than that. So, and I didn't want to use my flash because, like, I mean, there was another person there taking pictures who I've seen this person at basically not every show, but nearly every show that I've been to here in Jackson. So, and they had like a flash. So, but I don't know. I didn't feel comfortable just like flash banging like this small room, even though this other person was doing it, but like I didn't want to do it. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like how flash looks. In pictures, I just don't like how it looks. I like natural light a little bit more, So, well, natural light, if you get my drift. The light that's already in the room. Like, I don't want to add a flash because then it just makes things look flat. I mean, I get why they are used in photography, but I just don't like it. So, I'm not going to use it. And I do have a flash on my camera. I don't have one of those, like, flashes that you put on because, I mostly use my camera for video anyway, so I have... Ooh, it's actually here. I have one of these LED panels that I hardly ever use. I use it sometimes when I'm recording things at my desk. I have like a little, just the crappiest like desk tripod in existence. Just not sturdy, crooked, just not great, but it's what I have. And when I record things at my desk, I will use this light. And you can tell because they're usually underexposed because this light does not get very bright at all. And I just bought it at Walmart, so, you can't really expect the world with Walmart gear. That's what I'm working with. I'm not expecting the world with it. But anyways, we haven't really been talking about Christmas. It is, in fact, almost Christmas. It is, I don't know how many days, less than 10. Is it? Yes. Less than 10. How many? Who knows? By the time this episode comes out, it'll be 5 days from Christmas. And, Christmas as an adult is interesting because sometimes I will ask for things. Okay. Part of me just like stopped asking for things like a really long time ago. As a kid, you have these like big long lists of things that you want for Christmas, and sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. I do remember one year, I wrote out like an actual like long Christmas list. I think I was about maybe 7 years old. And, I wrote out the list fully expecting that I wouldn't get everything on it. And much to my amazement, that Christmas morning, I woke up and everything that was on the list, plus some extra stuff, was on there. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's the miracle of Christmas. That has not happened since. I have learned to manage my expectations with Christmas. So, I don't expect too much. If I get anything, then I'm like, you know what? Great. Cool. Amazing. And so, usually I ask my mom for things because I know my dad is not going to remember at all. And probably is just going to tell my mom to do it anyway. So like, I might as well just cut out the middleman and tell my mom. And this year I asked her, I wasn't joking, but I presented it jokingly, but I want a bigger bed for Christmas. I have no idea if I'm going to get one because, I very foolishly, when I moved into my last apartment, I bought a twin-size bed because I didn't think a full-size bed would fit in my room because the room was really small, but it would have fit. And I really should have just gotten a full-size bed. Like, why am I at my big age sleeping in like a twin-size bed? I'm not in college anymore. I don't have to do that. And yet I still subject myself to it. However, that twin-size bed costs like close to $500. That's including the bed frame, but still, it was kind of a lot. And if I were to get a bigger bed, I really like the mattress that I have. I think it's very comfortable. I just want that, but bigger, I don't think my mom's going to get me that for Christmas. Just, based off the fact that, as I just said, that bed was like almost $500. So, no, I'm probably not getting that. I did talk to my mom. This was a few weeks ago. And I was like, I guess I haven't told you what I want for Christmas. And she was like, I already did my shopping. I'm like, slay, cool. I haven't really been like dropping hints or anything like that. I think I've asked for last year. Last year, I asked for a cordless vacuum, which I'm in my office Secret Santa this year. And one of the things that I put on my wish list was a new vacuum. It's not a cordless one because we got a $50 limit, but a new vacuum. And I really hope whoever gets me that new vacuum. I can't tell you how happy I would be if I got a new vacuum. I've been wanting a new vacuum for a while now. Why haven't I been able to get myself one? I don't know. I hate spending money. I think that's just what it comes down to. I just hate spending money. And large purchases like that, I am very reluctant to make them for some reason. So I'm hoping, my office Secret Santa got me the little, not even $50, the $30 vacuum that I wanted. So, honestly, I should have just put that on the list, but I wanted to give them options, but I really want a new vacuum. Like, that would be so great. As I am getting up there in age, your old pal Erin, she's getting old. I'm getting very excited about like domestic stuff. Like thought just the thought of having a dishwasher makes me so happy. I hate washing dishes. I think most people hate washing dishes, but I hate it with vengeance because I was made to do it all the time growing up. And now that I'm an adult, I don't want to be made to wash dishes anymore because I'm grown. I can do what I want. Apparently, I can't have a dishwasher though, because the two places that I've lived have not had dishwashers, and I'm very reluctant to move because it's just too much hassle, even though I really, really want, number one, a normal sized kitchen. That would be nice. A normal sized kitchen with a normal sized stove would be nice. And I just want a dishwasher. Like, how hard is that to achieve? Apparently very hard, because I have neither of those. So, manage your expectations. And, when I bought my washer and dryer, not when I moved here, but a little bit after I moved into this apartment because I have washer and dryer hookups, I was so happy. I felt so accomplished. Like, I have my very own washer and dryer that I don't have to share with anyone. Slay moment. It's a slay moment. What can I say? And I paid for it myself with my money that I worked for. Like, oh my gosh, that is an achievement for me. Like the unmitigated joy that I had when this man brought in this washer and dryer and hooked it up wrong. Oh man, I kind of forgot all about that. So I bought this washer and dryer, used of course, because I'm not made out of money. And it was at one of these like local appliance stores. And so they have like their own guy that comes in and installs them. And he brought it in. I think it had been raining. He tracked just a little bit of mud in. Thankfully, I rolled up all my rugs and stuff out of the way. And I have hardwood floors, so it's not like impossible to clean or anything like that. If I had carpets, I would have been like mad, but thankfully I do not. So that wasn't really an issue. But he brings in my dryer and hooks it up. Like, dude, does a little vent thingy and everything, like completely fine. Because I mean, with the dryer, all you have to do is like put the vent in the vent hole and then plug it in. There's like not really a whole lot to it. But for the washer, I have these, hot and cold spigots where the washer is supposed to go. And he puts it in there wrong. I don't know how he managed to do that, but he put it in there wrong. And I only noticed because I went to wash my sheets and I got them out of the washer and I could feel that they were like warm. And I'm like, why? I put this on cold. Why are my sheets hot? So I look in the back and I see, with the help of like a mirror and a flashlight, I see that he hooked the hot water tap up into the cold water intake. So I'm like, well, crap, now I have to do this myself. So I had to shimmy the freaking washer out of the cubby hole that it's in. And thankfully I have like my own set of tools. So I have like some pliers. The pliers weren't super helpful, but they helped a little bit. I think I ended up having to do it with my hands, which was not great because it was screwed in there nice and good. And I essentially had to unscrew it and screw it in myself. And I was like, well, I don't think I had to pay all that much for installation, but aside from like unloading it from a truck, I probably could have done that myself. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, and to top it all off, the guy is showing me how to use a washer like I had never seen one before, even though I had, gone in there and picked a washer to purchase and completed the transaction with my own money. And I don't know. It's the curse of looking young. What can I say? You get talked down to sometimes, which it sucks. So now it's dark. Now it's deciding to be dark, and now I have to change the stupid. Give me a minute. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Aaron, all of this could be easily fixed by just putting your camera on auto. But one thing that I realized not long after getting this camera is that the auto exposure and the auto white balance like suck really bad for some reason. I don't know why it does. I don't know why it's like worse than my little Canon A5000, not Canon, Sony A5000 that I used to have. But it's just terrible. So like I keep everything on manual now and just hope for the best. Anyways, Christmas, oh Christmas tree. I have not decorated my apartment, and I don't intend on doing so. It's mainly because I always go home for Christmas, but like at some point, like this is a really weird thing to think about because it's not something that I consider, but one day I'm gonna like stop going home for Christmas, which is a weird thing to think about because I've only ever been home for Christmas. But at some point that's gonna stop. And I don't know when that's gonna be. Not this year, obviously, because I'm going home. But at some point I'll have to like decorate my own house and like stay at home for Christmas, which honestly feels kind of lame. Not gonna lie. Because I mean, realistically it'll just be me here, so it's like what's the point of staying home? I might as well go back home. But I guess, when it gets, I don't know, what do you call it? Unfeasible to travel home will probably be the time that I stop going home for Christmas and Thanksgiving. So now, as long as I live a reasonably tolerable, drivable distance from home, I will go home. But at some point, I probably won't. Because this may shock you guys, but I don't intend on living in Jackson for the rest of my life. In fact, I don't intend on living in the South for the rest of my life. At some point, I'm going to leave this place behind. And the day that I do will surely be bittersweet because the South is the only place that I've known, but I also kind of hate it. It's not great. It's kind of terrible. And of course, other places in the United States are probably uniquely terrible in their own ways. But I don't know, I feel like they might be a little bit more tolerable. Aside from the cost of living, I currently live like in the lowest cost of living state in the entire union. And anywhere that I go is going to be more expensive than where I am now. And already I feel like things are like expensive here. So it's like, what's the deal with that? One thing that I found out recently, which I think is weird because it doesn't make any sense, but I think it was Mississippi or maybe specifically Jackson that has like the highest rent increases for some reason it doesn't really make sense. It's not like Jackson is like a hip, desirable place to move to. Well, actually, I don't even know if that's the case. I would assume not, because of all of the very highly publicized water crises that we've been through. Probably not. I don't think people are clamoring to move here after realizing that the water is and has not been clean for like a really long time. I don't think people are like knocking down doors trying to buy houses here because of that reason. But other places in the metro area don't have that problem because they're not on the water, except for the city of Byram, I think. They are trying with all of their heart to get off, though. And I mean, now, gosh, I guess since we're talking about municipal issues, the Elon Musk of utilities is threatening to cut people's water off. I don't know if it was the 1st of January specifically or just in January, for unpaid bills when, ooh, big shocker, I've been living here, let's see, since June of last year, and I have not received a single water bill. So it's like, okay, I would sure love to pay you, but I don't know how much to pay. So at some point, this is like your problem, not mine. So what am I supposed to do? Anyway, and I still find it incredibly weird that they moved the base of operations for Jackson Water to Pearl, which I don't know if you know this, is not Jackson. And there's nowhere in Jackson that you can go to sort your water issues out. You have to call someone. And I've only called them once and they have answered with the quickness. So, like, it is an upgrade from before where you probably wouldn't get an answer. But, I mean, at the very least now they aren't in the abandoned mall, like way out west. But now they're nowhere, basically. And it's like, why should I have to travel to another city to address the utilities in the city where I live? That's a little weird, especially considering, it's not like I live way out in some rural place and I would have to, I don't know, go to the county seat to do so. It's like, no, like, why? Make it make sense. Anyways, I don't know. I don't know how this whole water debacle is going to end or be resolved, because it probably won't. We haven't gotten any serious frost yet, but it's coming. I can tell it's coming. December is not the coldest month of the year. I think that would be probably January or February, around here anyways. So only time will tell if the Elon Musk of utilities will, rise up to the plate when it comes to it. Was he? No, well, he was here for the last water crisis, I believe. And I mean, it still ended up happening, so it's like, okay. Well, that's really, that sums up a lot of issues in Jackson. Just like, just not even words, just throwing up my hands and being like confused. It's, yeah, well, anyways, enough of all that. Back to Christmas. There is one antiquated tradition that I take part in during Christmas, and I've only done it, well, I guess this year will be the second year in a row, but I do send out Christmas cards. I love a good Christmas card. And there's one thing that my dad has instilled in me that I have continued to take with me because it isn't terrible advice. It's sending cards. I love sending cards. I love sending letters. I don't really send handwritten letters to people because, I mean, just kind of no point to it in the age of email. But I love a good letter, and I love a good card too. So I've got my stack of cards here. I bought some new ones just in case I wouldn't have enough, and wouldn't you know it, I didn't have enough. I'm going to mail them off tomorrow morning, and I have no idea if they're going to get to their intended location before Christmas. I was going to say I would assume so, but I legitimately don't know. So for good measure, I put Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in there. So just in case it comes late, it's like, okay, I missed the one thing, you can get the other one. It's fine. And yeah, that's fun. I recommend it. Stamps don't really cost that much. I mean, I've had the same like sheet of stamps for several months now because I'm not mailing things out. In fact, I've probably had them since last year. No, that's not true. I don't think that's true at all. I think I went through all my stamps last year and I had to buy some new ones. But I've had these stamps for a while. They cost me like $10. And they've just been sitting there. And the Christmas cards that I bought, again, at Walmart, were like $3 maybe? $3 to $5, something like that. So it's not like super expensive. I think it's really crazy that like the mail exists. And I'm gonna explain this a little bit because that as a statement is like, what? But that you can like, and that this is something that still exists, I should say, because back in like the olden days of like the 90s when people were still sending letters on the regular, they could just like take like a piece, not a piece of paper, well, yeah, I guess essentially a piece of paper, and like give it to someone, and then they can take it to like the intended recipient. And another thing is that I don't think they do this anymore. I think you need to have like an actual address if you want to send something somewhere. But like back in the day, you didn't really have to. You could like give a letter to your local postman if you're like in the same town or something, and it could be like, the red brick house on the lake outside of town, and they would like deliver it there and it would be like valid. I think that's really cool. I really like the mail. I like the postal service. And I wonder if that fan cam, someone back, this had to be maybe 2020, made a fan cam of the postal service and I bookmarked it. and I find it so funny. I'm gonna try to find it. It should still be in my bookmarks because there's not a lot in here. Let me see. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's gonna be pretty far back. I don't have a lot of bookmarks, but it's back there. It's back there somewhere. Come on. Come on. I know you're in here. Maybe it isn't. I actually don't know. Oh no, what if it got deleted? Oh no, I think it got deleted. Hold on. Or maybe I'm in the wrong account. I would have thought it would have been this one. Oh no. The USPS fan cam. Wait, hold on. I need to find this. Where is it? Where's the US? I don't think it's here anymore. Oh no, hold on. I don't think it's in the other one, but I'm gonna check just in case. I really don't think it's in here. Where is it? Where is it? No, it's not. The USPS fan cam is gone. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's probably not gone. But if you look up USPS fan cam, you'll probably be able to find it, you know? Let me see. I'm gonna look it up. Hold on. USPS fan cam. I really hope it's still somewhere. Yes, here it is. Okay, well here it is. But for some reason, yeah. There's a few USPS fan cams. Okay, this isn't very visually appealing content, but there are quite a few USPS fan cams. The one that I am talking about, however, it's like, a bunch of shots of like mail trucks and stuff. I don't know the song because it's on mute right now, but it's like got that one sparkly, I guess, TikTok filter. But yeah. I like the Postal Service. But yeah, so I recently, well, actually, I don't know how recent this would be, but recent enough that I'm about to talk about it. But I recently finished a book. I know, very shocking, especially considering I haven't been doing a whole lot of reading lately. But I finished Her Pretty Face by Robyn Harding. It's a little over, well, it's not a little over. I think it might be close to like 350 pages or something like that. And I'm not going to lie, the book is kind of mid. It's not bad. When something is mid, it's not bad. It's just okay. It's just fine. Flat line, right? It's just okay. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just fine. That's what I mean by mid. I don't think enough people know that. When people say something is mid, or maybe I have it wrong, but when I'm saying this book is mid, I'm saying it is a solid 3 stars. It was enjoyable, but I don't think it's going to occupy a lot of brain space in like the next couple of months. It's a perfectly sufficient book. Nothing more, nothing less. It's just fine. So it's about, honestly, it's not like the setup is preposterous or anything like that, because sometimes, in books or just media in general, you'll have like just a preposterous setup, which is fine. But oftentimes I find myself overly criticizing my own work because like, oh man, the setup makes no sense. When in reality, there are a lot of pieces of media out there where the setup makes no sense. Metamorphosis, a guy wakes up as a roach. That doesn't make sense, but it works, So, like, maybe I shouldn't be too hard on myself. Anyways, it's about this woman. It's about 2 women. It's about 2 women, but it's from the perspective of about 3 characters in the book. And one of them, she's like her kid is on scholarship to a fancy private school, and she has to deal with all these uppity private school moms, which, if you've ever been around a private school, you probably know what I'm talking about. But she has to contend with all of them, and she feels like she's not enough. And then there's like these sprinkles throughout of this like horrible thing that she did when she was younger, and she thinks it makes her unworthy of love and, worthy of the treatment that she's getting from all of these uppity private school women. And then there's this it's not from her perspective, but it is about her. The other mom, she's like, she's so pretty and so likable, and, she's willing to stand up to the moms and be friends with the main woman whose name is Frances. And it's like, okay, on its surface, like, that is a pretty fine setup. But then you get to so there's three, like, perspective chapters. There's Frances, who's like the schlubby mom that nobody likes, or that she thinks nobody likes her, which in reality nobody does like her, because the treatment that she's getting from some of these other moms, like, yeah, nobody likes her. And then the other perspective chapter is Daisy, who is the cool mom that's friends with Frances's daughter. Is like 14, and she's kind of, a disillusioned 14-year-old, essentially. And then there is another chapter from the perspective of DJ, who is, it's told in the past. It happens in the past. His chapters all happen in the past. And this is notable because it's a little confusing at first how any of these are intertwined at all. I did make the mistake of, I obviously read the synopsis like before I bought the book, but I had the book for like a really long time before I actually started reading it, like a couple of weeks ago, or rather last month. So I kind of forgot the synopsis by then, and I went in essentially blind. So at first it's a little confusing how these three like stories like intertwine, because you have Frances and she's like, oh yeah, I did this horrible thing when I was younger, and I will always be paying for it. And I am just so tortured by this thing that I did when I was younger. That was so terrible. Right? So that is established right off the bat. And then you have DJ, who I believe in his first chapters established that his sister is like brutally murdered. So at first you're like, oh, okay. So I guess Frances like killed this girl. Like, okay, cool. But then you have the daughter, Daisy, of the other woman whose name is Kate. And, she's like one of those effortlessly pretty 14-year-olds, but she's disillusioned with everything because her mom is disinterested in her, and they move around a lot, and it's like, jaded 14-year-old stuff, basically. And spoilers for the book, by the way, but Daisy not even really starts seeing, she basically gets stalked by this guy named David, who essentially shows up out of nowhere. And she's like, oh man, this guy is stalking me, but he's also kind of hot, so like, maybe I'll be playing with fire here. So they like have some kind of entanglement. Not really an entanglement, because like nothing happens, but she's like clearly trying to make something happen. And then so Daisy's mom, Kate, and Frances are, beginning to be friends. And, Frances, she's like, I don't know, extremely hard on herself, far too hard on herself, I would say, because the really bad thing that she did when she was younger that is unforgivable, and she will always be paying for it, is that back in the 90s when huffing paint was cool, she introduced it to like her sister, and there was like an accident and she ended up dying basically from huffing paint, which I didn't know was something that could happen, but I guess she suffered some kind of cardiac event because she was huffing paint, and it was Frances's fault because she like introduced it to her, but it was legitimately like an accident. And she has like avoided her entire family since then, and has basically exiled herself, and just reads as someone who is desperately in need of therapy. Like, Jesus Christ, woman, please talk to a professional, because this is not helping anybody out. Like, everyone in her life has recognized, her parents, I'll say that, her parents and her other sister, because she had another sister, have recognized, like, hey, this is like an accident, and we don't want to lose you too because you're so racked with guilt. Like, anyways, all that to say is that there was a part in it that really confused me, though, because this David guy, you think he's DJ, right? Because we don't know like DJ's like actual name. We just know that it's DJ. And we know that someone with the initials DJ has a sister who died. And eventually we find out that, David is kind of an interloper because, wait, what? Hold on. Let me reel that back in. Essentially, Frances has to rescue. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this, but you know what? If you want to find out what happened, read the book. Read this perfectly sufficient book. Anyways, Frances has to rescue Daisy because she can't trust her mom to do it because her mom doesn't care about her, and yada, yada, yada. And Frances is trying to look around this like apartment with like nothing in it for clues as to who this guy is, and he ends up finding a picture of Kate, Daisy's mom, and she's like really confused, but there's like a name on it that's not Kate's name. It's what is her actual name? Amber. Amber's like her real name. And so, blah, 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 yada, 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 whoop-de woo. We eventually find out that Kate was the one that may or may not have killed Courtney, DJ's sister. And so it's like, oh man. And then there's a chapter where, for the very last time, Daisy goes out to meet this David character, and it's revealed like, oh, I was actually going to kill you because your mom took away something from me that I can never get back. So you're like, okay, obviously David is DJ because he's talking like Kate/Amber killed Courtney or had something to do with it. But he's not DJ. Eventually you find out that the actual DJ's name is like Declan, and he's like he's not like well adjusted or anything because like his sister died and his whole family fell apart, but he was able to pick up the pieces after a while, and he lived like a regular ish normal life after this whole family tragedy, and he's like a psychologist off wherever he lives, and they end up finding him somehow. And so he goes to confront Frances because he wants to warn Frances that, her friend Kate/Amber is like an evil person. And, he ends up telling her his full name, and she's like, who's David? And Declan, DJ is like, I don't know who David is. So it's like, okay, who is David? He's not DJ. Turns out David is the son of the boyfriend who's like the perpetrator of the murder. So, okay, I have to explain this now. Basically, the whole murder thing that Kate was like on trial for, Kate/Amber was on trial for, she was like an accessory to it because she was also there. But they tried to, I guess, argue that she was like abused by her boyfriend, whose name I have forgotten because he really doesn't show up in the book a whole lot. But apparently, the boyfriend, who like is doing life in prison, whereas Kate/Amber got like 6 years for it, he had a son named David. And so now David, for some reason, well, okay, not really for some reason, the guy who may or may not have done the killing, we don't really know. It's not made clear, by the way. He was like standing fast that, yeah, Amber actually did it. I wasn't even there when it happened. Amber was the one who killed this girl. And Amber's like, no, he made me do it. Or he did do it. Or something like that. I don't know. I'm confused. It's kind of confusing. So it's like, that doesn't make sense though. Because David is really made out to seem like he's DJ because what was taken away, I guess his dad went away for life, but like he's not technically dead, And like, I don't know. That whole reveal to me, I think could have been done a little bit better. All that to say, that reveal could have been done like way so much better. And I think that's what led to it kind of falling apart for me, was that kind of sloppily done reveal that I did a probably even worse job explaining just now. But again, you can read the book. It's out. I don't know how much I paid for it. Probably about, doesn't even matter. It's out if you want to read it. And it was another book that got recommended to me from Storygraph. So some people, you're either a Goodreads gal or you're a Storygraph gal, and I'm a Storygraph gal. And I've been using it for a little while now. I don't really use it to like track my reading progress or anything like that, which I think is its intended use, because I don't read that often. So really, all I can do is like mark when I've read a book and keep track of the books that I have read. Because this year, according to Storygraph, I have read 3 whole books. I am not one of those 52 books a year girlies. I am not one of those 12 books a year girlies. I am a 1 book every so often girly. Or the books I guess I can look at so I read, that doesn't make sense. What other book did I read this year? Because I'm seeing 2. And I feel like these two are the only two that nope, that's not true. It's just that the other one that I read this year left so little of an impression on me, I legitimately forgot about it. So the 3 books that I read this year were Women Are the Fiercest Creatures by an author that I can't, okay, let me not, I'm gonna find it, hold on. There's supposed to be a place where I can see like all of my books and stuff. I don't know where it is, hold on. Where is it? I'm about to find out. What is this? Andrea Dunlop. I read that, and it was good. Like, I rated it 3.75 stars, so I think it was just fine again. But I legitimately forgot about it. That's crazy. And I finished it apparently in April. Oops. So I think that's another book. I honestly can't remember where most of the books that I read have been recommended to me. I think I just see them on Amazon. I read a synopsis and I'm like, that sounds fine. And then I add it to my wish list. And then when it's time to buy new books, I look through the list and I'm like, oh, this one sounded fine. And then I purchase it. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened. It's 252 pages, so it doesn't drag on for a very long time. And it's about, it's very, I don't know if it's super obvious, but it's about this like tech guy and the 3 women he's entangled into his life. And maybe it's sort of like an Elon Musk analog. Maybe, I don't know. Silicon Valley tech guy with complicated relationships with women. Who knows? Who knows who it could be? But basically, there is his first wife, who he met in college and who he built the thing that made his millions with, and like his, I think like 2 oldest children. And then there's his affair partner, which I think or maybe not. I don't know how obvious it is that she is the affair partner. Again, it's been so long since I've read it and it left such little impression on me that I just kind of forgot. His affair partner and like affair baby. And then his new hot wife and like their young child and all of the entanglements and everything like that. And it's definitely more character driven than plot driven, because I don't want to say that nothing happens in the book, because stuff does happen in the book, but it's definitely mostly about these 3 women than it is about any kind of like plot, And then the other book that I read this year are My Last Innocent Year by, hold on, let me look up the author again, because I can't see all the way over there, Daisy Alpert Florin. And I believe I can't remember if this is a debut novel or not, but I do know that it came out this year. And it's about a college student, which I found the setting of it very cozy, because it's like I don't know if it's a real college or not, or if it's like a fake university, just like somewhere in Connecticut maybe, or Vermont or New Hampshire, somewhere where it snows. That's all I know. And it's about this girl's so in the synopsis that I read, it says that the story starts out with a, let's say, non-consensual sexual encounter, and you think the rest of the book is gonna kind of be the main character picking up the pieces from that, but it's not really. I do like the way that it was handled, and it kind of does speak to the reality that sometimes some assault survivors just don't want to blow up their whole lives when something like that happens. And so I think I like that aspect of it, because it was very realistic in that portrayal. But it's another like teacher-student romance, which I've read far too many of those. I mean, how many of those have I read? You know what? It's not important. And then the other one that I've read is Her Pretty Face by Robyn Harding. Now, I have 2 unfinished books on my desk, or on my coffee table, rather. I have schmutz all over the front. I have Raceless by Georgina Lawton, which it is a good read. It's a lot of thinking. This is definitely a thinking book. Like, you definitely have to turn your brain on when you read this one. And it's definitely fascinating. But when I read, I'm not trying to think. It's a weird thing to say, but I'm really not trying to think when I read. So, it just be like that. And then the other one, I have the book here, but I have the dust jacket because I really don't like dust jackets. I take them off. I have The Steps We Take by Ellen Ann Fentress, and I received this book for free. It wasn't given to me, but because of the nature of my work, I was able to obtain this book, and I started reading it honestly a long time ago. And it's about let's see. I'm gonna just read the blurb. I'll let you guys figure it out. Oh, it's a little long. Okay, Ellen Ann Fentress is a veteran writer for the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Atlantic. She's also a seasoned Southern woman, specifically a white Mississippi one. Women do a lot for free, no matter the era, no matter the location, she observes in The Steps We Take, a memoir of Southern reckoning. As a good Southern woman, Fentress felt a calling to help others. As a teenager, she volunteered as a March of Dimes quarter collector and sang hymns at a soup and salvation homeless shelter. Later, she married, reared 2 daughters, renovated a 1941 colonial home, practiced her French, and served as the bookkeeper for her husband's business. She followed the script she was handed by society. But there were the convenient lies and silences that she and most Southern make that American white women have settled on in the name of convention and, to be honest, inertia. For Fentress, her dodges both behind the okay. For Fentress, her dodges behind her front door and beyond became impossible to miss. Eventually, along with claiming a personal second act at midlife, she realized that the most urgent community work she could do was to spur truth-telling about the... I feel like I'm in history class. I'm trying to read a passage. I started off strong there, but it's falling apart. To spur the truth-telling about the history she knew well and participated in. She was one of the nearly 1 million students in the South enrolled in all-white segregation academies, a sweeping movement away from public education that continues to warp the deep South today. This is a long blurb, or synopsis, I guess. To document and engage with this history, she founded the Admissions Project, Racism and the Possible in Southern Schools. Racism and the Possible in Southern Schools. I think my brain is melting. Which has been featured in the Washington Post, Slate, Forbes, and other publications. The Steps We Take tells how one woman reckons with both a region's history and her own past, through a lens ranging from intimate to widely human. Through moments painful and darkly comic, Fentress casts a penetrating light on what it means to be a white Southern woman today. And I haven't read very much of it. I've read maybe 2 chapters. Hold on. I read the first one, which is about collecting for the March of Dimes and all of that. Let's see. Yeah. I've read 2.5 chapters. So I haven't made it very far. And this book is not long at all. I don't know what's taking me so long. Let me see. Okay. What is this? It's not even 200 pages. So it's a tiny little book, and I don't know, it's just been taking me a long time to read it. And then another book that I have not read yet is Spare Room. I cannot see the author from here, but it's like a thriller. I think someone moves into the spare room of a house, and then spooky things or something. I don't know. If you haven't figured it out by now, I just read books on a whim. I'm not really getting too deep into the lore or the synopsis very hard. Like, I look at a book, I look at the cover, I read the synopsis, and I'm like, okay, that sounds mildly interesting. Usually they're fine. Sometimes they leave little impression on me. So, yeah. The only thing I like more than going into movies blind is going into books blind. I love not just having zero expectations and just seeing where a piece of text will take me. So that's I have forbidden the people around me from buying me new books for a while now, cuz like eventually I'm just going to have so many books I'm not going to know what to do with them, you know? So thankfully, well, I don't know if this is the case. I would hope that I'm not getting any books for Christmas. I did put a book down on my Office Secret Santa just to, give the person options. But I'm hoping they didn't get me that. I really want that vacuum. if you have me, well, I mean, by the time this comes out, the Secret Santa, the gift exchange will be over, so can't do much about that, but I'm really hoping for that vacuum. And yeah, now the sun has finally actually set, and it is somewhat dark in here. Well, no, it's not. It just feels dark because the exposure on my camera. So yeah, like I said, no breaks. I'm not taking any breaks. Yeah, regular schedule will commence. Even if, let me see, because even if I was like 1 week back, so let's say if I was recording this last week for it to be, or no. Anyways, all that to say, I'm not going to be taking any breaks for any holiday seasons. The episodes will come out when they come out, which is when they're supposed to come out. And yeah, this has been the 16th episode, the 16th very Christmassy episode of the Running My Mouth podcast. I have been your host, Erin. Follow me on Twitter, because if you're not following me on Twitter, you're only getting half the story. I didn't even talk about Drag Race coming back. Well, I guess I'll do that next episode, because I think by the time I record the next episode, maybe the first episode of Drag Race will be out. Oh man, that's gonna be fun. Drag Race is coming back. If you're not following me on Twitter, you're only getting half the story. So you have to follow me on Twitter so you can get the full story. Like, come on, do that. I don't know. I'll see you in the next one, which will be in 2024. I'll see you guys next year. I'll see you next year. I'll see you in the year 2024, which is next year, which is also in like 2 or 3 weeks, but it's still next year. I'll see you next year. I will never not say that. I don't care if it's corny. It's correct. It's technically correct. I will see you next year. Anyways, I have to go.